And we've been talking, Adam, about givers and takers and the difference. And we talk about the upside to givers.
Yeah.
What's the downside?
Well, I think there are two downsides. One is burnout, just exhausting yourself because you're trying to help everybody. The other is getting exploited and turning into a doormat when takers end up finding ways to take advantage of you.
Yeah.
And I think that there's no question that for givers to succeed, they need to learn to set boundaries. And that means not saying yes to all the people all the time with all the requests. As far as we could break each of those down. So who do you say yes to?
Yes, go ahead.
You want to be much more cautious with takers. When somebody's got a history or a reputation for being selfish, you probably don't want to be quite as generous as when you're dealing with somebody who is known to be giving. And
let me enlarge it. I think all of our listeners will understand this. I know we all get demands at whatever level we are, right?
Yeah.
And come do this, come do that, come do that, come do that.
Yeah.
You'll really like it, but it's for me.
Yeah.
It'll make me look good. Or it'll give me a program. It'll give me a speaker. It'll give me somebody to do something for me and make me be bigger.
Yeah.
And that's right. That is a real danger for a giver if you are not able to see that.
Yep.
All right, I talk to my wife a lot about this because I get
too.
a lot of demands. And you get a lot of demands, and we get a lot of demands. And when do you say no? Because I just don't want to do things that I really don't want to do. Mm-hmm. If I go and do something that I don't want to do,
yep.
I don't do it very well.
Yeah.
And I have to draw a line there.
Yep.
And sometimes that has to do with the person demanding of me, but they want me to fly to Seattle, Washington tomorrow to make a speech to 2 people. So you have a balance there, and you got a place that the giver's got to really. Yeah, I hadn't thought about that before until we brought up the question.
Well, I think that it actually happens more as you develop the reputation for being a giver. That you get known as the kind of person who says yes and who always wants to help, and that's kind of why no good deed goes unpunished, or that's why people like that saying. And I think that for me personally, when the book hit, there was this massive increase in the number of requests that came, and I had to get really clear about who I wanted to help most. And for me, it's family first, students second, colleagues third, and everybody else fourth. So every time a request comes in, I'll actually start going through that list and saying, is this going to compromise my ability to be there for my family and to help my students? And if there's a chance that it is, I'm not going to do it. And I'll still try to send an article or make an introduction or do something else to help. But as far as managing my time, it's going to be family and students first always. And I think everybody needs to have a priority list of who they're trying to help.
Interesting thing. And that changes as we move in life. I remember I used to go out and do maybe 100 speeches a year.
Yeah.
And I don't do that anymore. I don't go out and travel to do speeches hardly ever, because if I go out and do that, I compromise my family.
Yeah.
I compromise my own time, my family's time. Now I've got 10 grandchildren and 4 children and so forth, and the people that I work around. And we do have to make those decisions, don't we?
Yeah, we do, and I think part of that is who we're going to give to. The other part, which you foreshadowed, is how we're going to give.
Okay.
So you mentioned that you don't do something very well if it's not something you were excited to do. And a lot of givers get into this trap of giving in ways that just don't align with their interests or their enjoyment or their skill set. And I think that we all probably need to think a little bit about being more, when we give, specialists than generalists. Finding 1 or 2 ways of contributing to others that we really love and that we do uniquely well, and focus on those. And that gives us a license then to say no to the other things.
Have you ever been asked to make a speech on a topic that you're not versed in?
I have. And I used to say yes and agonize over it. And now the answer is, I don't feel like I can deliver and meet your expectations because I don't have expertise here. Here are the things I'm comfortable talking about.
It's a good lesson for all you people.
Have you been in that bucket as well?
I was guilty. I was 22 years old, Rookie of the Year of the National Football League, big star in my own mind anyway at the Minnesota Vikings, and so they wanted me to go speak. So it was a medical convention. They want to talk to me about working out. Well, back in those days, we didn't work out. I didn't lift weights.
You played. That was your exercise.
I didn't know anything about diet and nutrition and all. And they wanted me to get up and talk about this. I said, sure, I can talk about anything because I can talk. I got up and talked for 15 or 20 minutes. I left the stage and I had no idea what I said. I had no idea what I said. And at 22, I said, never again am I going to go and commit to do something that I am not confident that I can deliver.
Yeah.
And that's a great lesson, isn't it?
It is. And I think, unfortunately, we probably all have to make that mistake a few times, or at least once,
Once.
instead
I
of
mean,
learning
once.
from other people's experiences. But
It we cannot be all things to all people.
No.
We all got our skill sets, things we're comfortable doing, things we're not comfortable doing.
Yeah.
And we got to understand that, don't we?
We do, and you know, I think you also previewed the third piece of this puzzle. So it's not just being clear about who you want to help and how, it's also when.
Yeah.
Successful givers have windows in their calendars that are blocked off.
Yep.
That, you know, they're not there for other people because they're following through on their own commitments and they're getting their own work done. And you know, the failed givers are the ones who allow themselves to be interrupted every minute of every day and never get to make progress.
And what happens to that person? Now, I mean, give us some real results of a person that just has gone overboard in giving, and I'm going to say yes to everybody, and I'm just going to be a doormat almost to the world. What's the result of that?
I think what usually happens first when you track the evidence is there's just this major reduction in energy. And you know, they're feeling sluggish, they're feeling like they're not excited about whatever they're doing, whether it's their job or anything else. They don't have anything to look forward to. And then they start to become a little bit cynical and begin to sort of believe that almost everybody's a taker, as opposed to perhaps just getting stuck in a trap where a lot of people are asking without meaning to be takers. Because you know, if let's say, Fran, you've got 100 requests this week, none of those people knows how many other people are asking you for things. Sure. And they're not meaning to monopolize your time individually, right? It just all adds up. And so then, you know, after that cynicism kicks in, either they will continue trying to help and, you know, really find it frustrating and stressful, and there's burnout, or they actually change their style and they move in the direction of becoming a matcher or a taker, and then they lose sight of their values.
Yeah, you know, it's a learning situation for everybody of how to spend our time. But I also look at people that are working for the government. God forbid. Somebody's got to. I guess we ought to really. Or working for a big corporation. And I'm in there, and the first thing I ask when I go to work at age 22, what's the pension plan? Mm-hmm. And how should people think that are bored in their job, that are bored in what they do, and they say, I really would like to maybe go out and be an entrepreneur in America, because I can be. It's a great thing to do. It's available to me. How can that person make that leap in their mind, which has got to happen first, the mind and their heart and their soul?
Yeah, so I think one of the most interesting discoveries in the past half century of social science is that it's often easier to change your behaviors first and let your attitudes follow. So what I would say to that person is look for a small win. Right? I wouldn't quit your government job tomorrow. What I would do is I would pick up the idea that you're interested in and start it out as a hobby, and you know, dedicate a couple hours a week to it. First of all, see if you enjoy it. Secondly, you know, is there some kind of business opportunity there? You know, is there a need? Is there a client base? And then as that builds, you can actually then make a forecast about, you know, if I were to devote more time to this, is it viable? And the nice thing is you're taking very little risk, and if that doesn't work out, then you can do that again with your next hobby.
Yeah, but just to jump out of, you got to live. You got to have an income, and just say, I'm going to throw the income, I'm going to jump in here before I know what I'm jumping into. Yeah. That's not the way to do it, is it?
No, I mean, the old saying, look before you leap, I'd like to modify it and say, no, test before you leap.
Yeah, because, you know, you might have to go through 4 or 5 different experiences to find something that you can really pull off.
Yeah, which you know from experience, most entrepreneurs do not hit on their first idea.
That's exactly right. And we make more mistakes than we have wins. You got to just lose faster. You got to try things, and I like that about an entrepreneur. You try. You do it quick. But if you go out and invest your life savings in this new business, that's not good. That's wrong thinking, don't you think?
Yeah, I think you could almost call it careless.
Yeah.
You know, because you've probably worked a good amount of time to make sure that you can actually protect yourself and save for your family.
And I think that, you know, for so many of the entrepreneurs in this country, I'm going to encourage them, you've got to read books like Give and Take, because you're not going to see Adam in your convention. The big guys are going to be able to afford Adam. But you can read his book, and you can get a lot of information, because we all need mentors. We all need examples. We all need to learn from other people that are actually doing it. And so many of the entrepreneurs are learning from people that are great speakers
Yeah.
and great, and entertaining, but they have another thing in common. None of them have ever started a business, and so they are not interested in that. And what we've got to do, and I want all your entrepreneurs that are listening to this understand, you've got to, and we're going to bring you access to the greatest minds, the greatest business ideas, so that you can have a better knowledge base to be able to make your business work, because you've got to know the ropes, and from the people that are the thinkers that understand this. Does that make sense?
Yeah, very much so.